So all of the diplomas, there are 4 different ones, are 1 year intensive programs. And the goal behind all of them is to help develop your jewelry making skills. And usually with the goal of wanting to start or grow a jewelry business. So you don't have to want to start or grow a jewelry business, but we find that most of our students do. And so we teach the skills that are going to help with that. Making focus, a little bit of business skills thrown in there as well. Lots of support. I'll kind of talk about the support that's available from one-to-one mentoring to group mentoring sessions and so on and so forth. But also we kind of created the diplomas with business in mind. So we help teach you things that will help create a commercially viable business. So there are certain skills that jewelers need to know. For example, how to make wedding rings, how to make engagement rings, even if that's not going to be the main type of jewelry you make, that can be like some bread and butter. People are always buying those types of pieces of jewelry. And, you know, in all of the content we create, we're thinking about how we can help you build your businesses too. So there are 3 diplomas that cover traditional jewelry making skills. So there is the year 1, which is the diploma in silver jewelry, the year 2, which is the diploma in fine jewelry, and the year 3, which is the advanced jewelry diploma. And we recommend taking these in order. And we've had quite a few students now go through all of them, kind of start at the very beginning and go all the way to, you know, really an advanced level within 3 years, because they're quite intensive and there's a really strong focus on developing making skills. So whereas in the past, you know, people would do jewelry degrees and things like that, which would have making skills, but would be quite theoretical, lots of academic input. In 3 years, you wouldn't learn anywhere near like kind of the volume of skills that you're able to learn on these much more kind of practical vocational skills based courses. And then there is a 4th diploma, which is kind of separate. It's a little bit of a different one, which is the diploma in silver metal clay. So this one you can take at any point. We've had people just go straight in for this one. You can be a total beginner. We've had people who've done all 3 of the other courses and then done this one. We've had people who've kind of come out of the kind of traditional route and joined this one. So there's no rules as to when you can do this one, but metal clay is just a really wonderful material. We can talk a bit more about that as we go through each of the diplomas, but it's essentially a different way to make silver jewelry. And we absolutely love all methods of jewelry making here at Jewellers Academy. So we like to kind of teach all the different things, and there's just always so much more to learn. It's one of the things I love about jewelry making. I've been doing it for nearly 20 years and I still feel like a beginner at many things, because there's just always more and more tools, more techniques, more fun to be had. So we love that. So welcome. For anybody who doesn't know me, my name's Jessica Rose. Like I said, I started making jewelry, gosh, about 20 years ago now. Nearly 20, maybe 17. Yes, I was 19 at the time. So it's kind of what I've always done. And I started the London Jewellery School, which was a jewellery training centre in London's Hatton Garden, where over 40,000 students trained with us through the course of about 13 years. And in COVID, we very much moved all of our training online. And that's when Jewellers Academy had actually started a few years before that, but that's when we really kind of focused solely on Jewellers Academy as an online platform to help people from all over the globe develop their jewelry making skills and also grow profitable jewelry businesses, because we often find that once you start making jewelry, not far behind is the idea that now I need to make some money from this because it is costing me a lot of money. It can be an expensive hobby to have. So at the very least, we need to make back that money. And, you know, it's a great career path that a lot of people choose to go down if you, like us, just love making jewelry and want to do it all the time. So that's just a little tiny bit about my background. But if you have any questions or you want to know any more, feel free. So what are the diplomas? So like I said, there's 4 different ones. They all have the same structure. So what's taught in each one is different, but how they work is very similar. So they all run for 1 year. They all start in September, but enrollment closes fairly soon because we need to kind of get you guys ready, get your tools and materials all set up, get your mentors assigned. So we try and encourage people to join as soon as they possibly can. So start in September, and then they run across 3 terms, and they follow very roughly the school terms here in the UK. So the first term runs from around September to end of November time. You get a break over December, then you're back again in January. We've just finished our second term this year, so kind of like March. Then get another break over Easter, and then you have the final summer term, which is sort of May, June, July time. We recommend for all the diplomas you put aside at least 1 day a week, and we count that as 7 hours. So that's kind of the minimum we would recommend. You can, of course, spend more time should you like to. You definitely won't need more than 2 days a week. So it's up to you. Some people like to make the projects a few times over, in which case you need a bit more time, but we don't expect that. A lot of our students are working full time, perhaps have families that they're raising, parents that they're caring for, all sorts of things, and kind of juggle it around everything. So as long as you can find those 7 hours roughly every week, then you can definitely fit it in. Though that time can be managed however you like. So some people put aside a day and say, right, Monday is my making day, and I'm just going to spend the day doing that. For other people, they might have an hour each day throughout the week. For other people, it's kind of like just chunks of time here and there. So it's very flexible, all online learning. So yeah, it's all remote, but we're also very involved. So it's not like an online course where you just sign up and watch videos and that's it. You are assigned a mentor throughout any of these programs. So you'll be given your own personal mentor who you'll meet with 6 times throughout the year. So you will get to know that person. You'll get lots of sessions together, and we really see this as being a great thing for people who are learning, because learning from someone else who has done it before and having that one-to-one time with them is super valuable. And we're really lucky in the tutors that we're able to access, because we have world-class tutors who have incredible training. We were based in Hatton Garden, so we had kind of some of the best people, and luckily we've been able to bring their skills online so that more and more people can learn from them. So you have your one-to-one mentor, and I'll talk a bit more about the other support as well. But you'll also be sending your work to us. So even though it's online, there's a tactile element to it, in that every term, at the end of each term, you send us your work, we get it to your mentors, then your mentors looks at it and will mark it, because it is a diploma kind of qualification. So they'll mark it against a set of criteria, and then send it back to you. So 3 times throughout the year, they'll get to see your work in person, look at it, give you some feedback, which is always just about being constructive. It's never about, criticism or making you feel nervous or anything like that. It's just to say, oh, well done on this setting, but how you could improve it for next time is, you need to get the engraver in a bit deeper, or things like that. The kind of things that if they were there watching you, they'd be able to tell you. And so it's something that we don't want you guys to miss out on because you're learning online. In terms of the tools and materials, it's a bit different for each diploma. So for the diploma in silver jewelry, which is the first year course, we have a full toolkit and a full material kit. So you can purchase those from us if you want to. We also have a list of all the things if you want to buy them on your own. But we always recommend getting the tool and material list if you are new to jewelry making, because there's a lot of stuff in there. Lots and lots and lots, and it takes a long, long time to buy all those things. So we've done that hard work for you and kind of put it together, and you get all the silver, all the gemstones, all the solder, everything you need to make your projects, and some extra as well, so that you can, make some doubles of some of the pieces. In the diploma in fine jewelry, which is the year 2, we have a material kit. By that point, you've bought most of your tools, and the tools that we ask you to buy are more optional, and you might choose different brands and things like that. So we let you buy your own tools. So we've got kind of a tool an upgrade tool list. But again, we do recommend buying the materials from us if you just want to save yourself some time and energy, because it's quite a lot of stuff you've got to buy. Then the advanced diploma, which is the year 3 course, there is no tool or material kit except for we include a stone setting kit with lots of gravers and bespoke tools that you can't just buy online. We include it in the cost of the course. So the course is a little bit higher, the fee, but it includes those tools that you need. And the rest of stuff you should pretty much have by then, but we have a top-up list again to make sure that if there's anything that's missing, you can make sure you get those. Then the diploma in silver metal clay, we also have a tool and material kit, and we have suppliers that we work with called Metal Clay Limited who deliver those. You buy them through us, and they will send them to you. So lots of options for tools and materials, because we don't want that to be something that stops you from developing your learning and your making. And that's like a whole journey in itself, just discovering what tools you're going to use, what materials you need for what projects. So there's always more learning to be done there. So in terms of how you'll learn on each of the courses, you will have weekly lessons. So these are pre-recorded, professionally filmed courses with the tutors, and they will be guiding you through a project. So I'll give you a little look at some of the projects in a bit. And if you've looked on the website before, Anna's put the links in the chat, you'll get an idea of the kind of projects that we will be working through. You can see a lot of detail on those pages about what's going on. So feel free to have a look while you're listening. And like I said, if you've got any questions, I'm here to help. So you have your weekly lessons. Some projects take more than a week, so you might have one that lasts a couple of weeks, but generally speaking, most weeks there'll be a new lesson. In the more advanced classes, some of the projects do take 2 or 3 weeks. So you may need a little bit more time with it. And along with the courses are downloadable class notes, because some people like to kind of look at things visually, and sometimes there are charts, things like that that are easier to put into the notes than just filmed. And with all of these, you have lifetime access. So even after you finish the program, you'll have access to all of the content, which we find super useful. It's almost like a bookshelf, like a library of all the things that you've learned. So if you make like a locket, for example, on the course, and you don't make one for 3 years, and then someone comes and says, I want to commission a locket, you can go straight back to the course, watch it, while you're making, have it on in the background and remind yourself, oh, that's how I made a locket. Because there's so much information in all of the courses. They're very intense. You're unlikely to remember all of it. So we thought it's really important that you have ongoing access to everything. So in terms of your technical making support, you'll have 3 what I call midterm one-to-ones. So you have your mentor, you're assigned your mentor, and in the middle of each term, roughly, you'll get a one-to-one with them. So this is your opportunity to ask them questions, to share how you're getting on with the course, to share any challenges that you're having, or if there's like a project that you've been working on and you've had to put it down because it's not working for some reason, you can show it to them, ask for their guidance and support. So that's an opportunity for them to really help you during the middle of the term. Then at the end of the term, or it's usually the start of the following term, they will do a marking session with you. So this is where you will have sent your work in, you have a marking deadline. No matter where you're based in the world, we all send our work on the same day. Woohoo! Post day. And then it doesn't matter how long it takes to get to us, because if you're in the UK, it will take a couple of days. And if you're overseas, it may take a couple of weeks. That we don't worry about, and we get it to your mentor. They have a look at it, and they have a one-to-one with you and give you that really useful feedback to kind of help you develop and grow. And the feedback we've had from students is that they love those sessions, even though they can be a bit nerve-wracking. And we always say, don't be nervous, it's going to be fine. But I think one of the reasons why they love them is they get that kind of those aha moments of like, oh, that's the thing that I've been doing wrong. But also a lot of them say they get that kind of almost like kind of reassurance, like, yes, you're doing it right. You've got this. You're developing, you're doing the right things. So I think a lot of us have that imposter syndrome of feeling, am I though? Am I really a jeweler just because I did this stuff and then sent it to you? And so it can kind of really help build confidence, I think, as well. Inside the advanced diploma, it's run slightly differently. So all the other diplomas are kind of run like that, and you'll have fortnightly Zooms. So every fortnight, you will be put into a small group. You have the same group throughout the whole course. They're like your mini cohort. And every fortnight, you meet with a mentor and your small group. And it's an interactive part of the course. So it's kind of checking in, like, how's it going? What's been challenging? How have other people solved their problems? And the group Zooms are really lovely. They're a lovely community. They're really good for kind of keeping momentum, because with online courses, there is, statistically a really high drop-off rate. In our diploma course, our drop-off rate is almost zero, because it's not an online course in that way where you're just sort of left to it. You are involved and very much kind of part of the community. And if you don't turn up to a few other people in the group will be like, where are you? How are you doing? In a nice, friendly way, not in a totally creepy, stalkery way. So we kind of check in on each other and make sure we're all right. And, because there's natural ups and downs throughout the course of a year in people's lives. And there's also natural ups and downs in the course. Sometimes people are like, I love this week. This project is just great. And other times it's like, oh my God, I've made this 3 times and it's not happening. Help. So the community is often what we get fed back is like one of the most valuable parts of the program. So yes, in the advanced diploma, it's very slightly different. You still have the group Zooms, but you have a meet the expert session. So because it's kind of like a really quite niche level skill by that stage, you aren't joined by any mentor, you're joined by only the mentor that teaches that course. Because for example, we have people like Scott McIntyre, who's a master stone setter who teaches some of the courses. So you want to make sure that you have connection with him if you're learning about pave setting, for example. So it sounds a bit confusing, but it's pretty much the same. It's just a little bit more niche as you get further up in the diploma programs. Yeah, so I think we talked about, so this is for the advanced diploma. So you have at least one live Q&A with the person who's created the project. And you can, with all of the Zooms and with all of the live stuff, you can attend as few or as many as you like, and there's replays available. And if you can't come along for some reason, but you want to ask a question, you can always put it in the Facebook group and we'll make sure it gets answered and recorded. We talked about the one-to-ones, so one each term plus a marking one at the end of each term. These are all done on Zoom, and you can select the time that you like. So when you sign up for a diploma, as it gets closer to the diploma date starting, we'll get in touch and ask you about your availability, and we match you to mentors based on availability. So if you say, I'm working in a day, I can only do evenings, we'll match you with a mentor who can do evening sessions. Or if you say the opposite, like I need a daytime session, then we'll match you with people. Or if you're flexible, then we can kind of match you with anyone. So we try and make sure that you have as much contact time with the tutors as possible, because you always learn something. There's always more to learn. Then, of course, there's a diploma Facebook group. So for all of the diplomas, you have your own Facebook group for that year's cohort. So you're working together. We know, and kind of research shows, that cohort-based learning is the most effective for online. So you'll be in the Facebook group, and that is staffed by the Jewellers Academy staff team Monday to Saturday, and they have kind of direct contact with the mentors and the tutors to answer your questions. So if you're in the middle of the project and you need help, that is the place to go. But not only are we in there kind of answering questions all the time, but your fellows, your peers are in there, and there's such a wealth of knowledge in the groups, and probably someone has had a similar issue to you and can help you with it. But likewise, it's also a great place for just kind of hanging out and just sharing what you're doing, sharing some videos, sharing some pictures, getting people to celebrate with you when you've done something well. It's not just about troubleshooting, but it's just a really lovely community. And we often have people kind of meet up together and go to events, and there's all sorts of things. So lots of people like to stay in touch, which is really nice. So, in terms of what skills you need before you start, because we get asked this a lot. So, for the silver diploma, the year one, you do not need any skills in jewelry making before you start. Now, it is an intensive course, and we do have people that join it who have been making jewelry for a while because we teach them quite advanced things in that year because it's a whole year. It's not like it's not like a weekend course. So we start right at the beginning, but the first year, the diploma in silver jewelry, the goal behind that course was to train to be a professional jeweler in 1 year. And if you only ever do that year, that you will have the training that you need to run a jewelry business, to kind of develop your skills, to do what you want to do. The others, we just wanted to do more jewelry making. So we kept adding more and people have enjoyed doing them, which is great. But it's not, please don't feel that you have to do all of them in order to like make and sell or anything like that. You can get going right away. So for the silver one, you don't need any skills, but obviously any skills that you have, you'll be bringing to the table, which is brilliant. Interestingly, and I remember one of the mentors saying this to me the other day, if you start off with more skills, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll end with more skills than somebody who started as a beginner. And some people who start as beginners, but just really go for it and maybe have a bit more time or whatever, can get even more advanced than someone who's been making for a few years in the year. So it's kind of one of those interesting things where please don't worry how you start. It's just, as long as you want to do it and you go for it, that's all that really matters. And, you'll get loads out of that course. For the fine jewelry diploma, we made it, that's the year two. So we made it for people who've completed year one. So we ask you to look at the year one and make sure that you can do most, if not all of those things. So that's probably the easiest way to describe it, is just look at the course before and say, can I do all of those things? And if there's anything I can't do, could I learn to do it before the diploma starts? And the reason why we say this is we don't go over old stuff because you've got the videos if you've done the year before. So we just assume you know how to do that stuff. So we'll say, make your ring shank and then go from there, as opposed to kind of going through it all. So we definitely want to make sure people are on the right course. So if you're not sure, if you're like umming and ahhing between the two, we can take a look at your work, or we can have a chat with you and try and make sure that you get on the one that feels right for you. Same with the advanced jewelry diploma. We do have some people join at the advanced level, but we have less people come in at that point. Most people who do the advanced diploma have done the fine. Whereas quite a few people come in at fine, having done other jewelry making experience elsewhere. But like I said, if you're not sure, just ask. We're always happy to have a chat with you about it. The silver metal clay diploma, you don't need any experience, so you can come in at any level. But if you do have experience in silver metal clay, we also love to have you. And, we start at the beginning, but we really ramp up and we move on to, there's like 4 masterclasses towards the end, which are really quite advanced. So wherever you're at, we will challenge you. That's for sure. That's our job. That's what we're here to do. And we're up for it. So let's just have a quick run through. I can see there's a few questions and I want to get to those. And, I couldn't go through every course because we'd be here for like 4 hours. And we do have open days that run through those. So maybe we could try and find some of the replays of the open days in case somebody's thinking, oh, I really think that's the one. And if you do want to look at a longer session on that, then you can. And you can, fast forward it if I get a bit boring at parts. So it's always a good thing with online learning, double speed. But let's have a quick look at just some of the things and I'll talk you through some of them. So these are projects. Hopefully you can see the images from the diploma in silver jewelry. So this project on the first page is one of my favorite projects from the course because it's quite advanced. So you can see that by the end of the year, you're doing like multiple core settings. There's, kind of engagement ring style stuff in there, quite fine jewelry really by this point. This is in term 3 of the diploma in silver jewelry. So don't worry if you've never picked up a saw blade or a saw frame, we will get you there. We do incremental learning. So we don't expect you to just have natural talent and just skip forwards. We very much take you on that journey. This course, this project here, is actually using cast settings. So you learn how to make your own stone settings, but another skill, which is a little bit different, is working with cast settings, which are settings that are already made, but come kind of rough. And you've got to clean them up, you've got to solder them together, you've got to make sure everything fits and works well, and still set the stones. So it's a little bit of a different process if you've done stone setting before. And it's useful because if you're making this kind of jewelry and you're working with stones that are a standard size and you want to keep your costs down, it's a quicker way to do it. So we kind of look at different production methods as well. And then here are some other ones from the Diploma in Silver Jewellery. So down here at the bottom where there's kind of the pierced out silver pieces, that is kind of where we start, which is starting with practicing using the saw. It's called piercing in jewelry making, when we're cutting out pieces of metal. So we kind of have this phrase that if you can cut, you can pierce, you can solder, you can file, then you can pretty much do 90% of everything in jewelry making. So if we can get those skills really strong, then the rest is all just kind of putting stuff together and understanding, the details of things. So we start with the basics. So you'd be doing piercing, you'd be doing like a soldering masterclass, you'd be just learning how to work with the metal and how to get those fundamentals under your belt. Then we do quite a lot of gold work in the Diploma in Silver Jewellery, even though it's called the Diploma in Silver Jewellery, because working with gold is a really beneficial thing for jewelers. It has higher profit margins. It kind of elevates what you're doing. And just to be able to work with gold is a really useful skill. It's a little bit different to working with silver. There's some different considerations. So you'll make some gold stacking rings, which you can see on the left here. You'll also make quite a chunky gold wedding ring, because that is kind of a rite of passage for a training jeweler to know how to make wedding rings. You'll make some engagement style rings as well. So a bit of stone setting in gold, a little bit of soldering in gold, and yeah, just having some fun with gold, really. You'll do lots of stone setting on this course. So in the right kind of one up from the corner, you can see a lovely tube setting there. So we start off with some of the basic settings, like a cabochon setting, which is setting a stone that has a flat bottom and a curved top. That's often the first setting you learn. So you learn how to do that. You'll learn a tube setting, which is setting a faceted or sparkly stone in a tube. And you'll also learn something called a flush setting, which isn't pictured here, but it's like where the setting, the stone is flush with the metal. So it's almost hidden, that you can just see them really sparkle. And these are just, kind of really useful settings to get started with. You'll move on to things like floor setting, collet setting. You don't need to know what all these things mean at this stage, but there's lots of gold, there's lots of stone setting, there's lots of silver, there's lots of soldering, there's lots of fun. And the big picture you can see there is granulation. So the tiny little balls, there's tiny little silver and gold balls. So you'll learn how to, that's a process called granulation, making tiny granules and soldering them on. So you'll be making a pendant and a ring, and all of the projects are, you're learning techniques, but you're also putting it together in a finished piece most of the time. So you will be building up a big portfolio of pieces, which you can share on your social media, share with friends and family, and start to, get the word out there that you are making jewelry and that you're pretty awesome at it. And that if they want to order from you, you're ready. So that's Diploma in Silver Jewellery. And it might be interesting, actually, anyone who's on the call, if there is a course you're particularly interested in, or you're not sure between two, let me know, because I can focus a bit more on those. But I'm just going to do a quick run through of the rest. It's quite nice to see the progression as well. So the second year, which is made to follow on from that one, is the Diploma in Fine Jewellery. Absolutely love this course. Love all the courses, obviously. But I'm all about the stones. I'm all about the gemstones, and there's more gemstones to come. So yes, this project here is probably what a lot of students say is their favorite project on the Diploma in Fine Jewellery. Again, it's a term 3 project. And what students say about it is they can't quite believe that they made it. but they did, and it kind of wasn't too bad. There's some things that look like they're going to be way harder, and some things that look like they'll be simple, and you're just like, oh my goodness, why is this taking me 8 goes? So what's really nice about this project, it's a beautiful claw setting in the middle. It's got an under bezel, which you can't see here, but it means it's very decorative from the underside as well. It's got this kind of floral pattern. The one on the left has doming included. The other one is not domed, so you can kind of see a slightly different effect that you get from those. And then round the edge are lots of little tube settings. So it's all things that you will have learnt to do separately: tube setting, claw setting, doming, piercing, soldering, but we're just putting it all together. And that's what's one of the really nice things about seeing people's progression in the diplomas, is that they start with just one basic building block, and then we add another and we add another, and eventually you have something really quite cool that you think, how did I even make that? And that's kind of how we develop the jewelry making journey. So that's always a really fun moment when people get to that project. Some of the other projects, and again, there's a lot more than these in all these courses, but they're just kind of pulling out some to talk about, is the five stone ring, which has a beautiful marquee setting in the middle. So this is the big picture that you can see here with the 3 rings. So marquise is a shape of stone, which is kind of like this. And so there's different ways you can set stones, but what's really nice is you can kind of do this little V shape setting, which we've got here. I like to call it a boat setting because underneath it kind of looks a bit like a boat. So a really nice way to kind of see the stone and show it off. But what's nice about this project is there's quite a lot of solder joins. So you're moving on to sort of more advanced levels making, where we're bringing more pieces in. It's obviously got more settings in as well, and there's symmetry involved. So there's a few other things to kind of think about and consider. But again, could be a really nice style of engagement ring, and learning those skills, you could then put different stones and do all sorts of things once you know how to work with those techniques. The tennis bracelet at the far bottom left corner is kind of one of the infamous projects from the Diploma in Fine Jewellery. And this is where you make lots of tiny little cubes and build up a tennis bracelet. And this is kind of, again, like a bit of a rite of passage as a training jeweler. You might not regularly get commissions for tennis bracelets, but the fact that you've made one and you can show that you've got those skills is going to be really, kind of interesting attraction for people who are thinking, where can they go to get their jewelry? You can either choose to make the full tennis bracelet, which a few people have taken the challenge, or we're not that mean. There is the option to make 6 links and make them into either a pair of earrings or a necklace, because not everybody enjoys repetitive tasks. And as long as we can see that you can do it, that's the main thing. And there's some stone setting in there. There's soldering. There's getting the links so they kind of move. There's quite a lot of technical challenge in that piece. Then one along from that, we've got the basket setting, or sometimes it's called claw setting. And I love these. These are really cool. So, and you can also see them up in the top right corner with the pair of earrings. So it's learning to set shape stones, claw setting shape stones. So in the Diploma in Silver Jewelry, you would have done a claw setting, but it would be a round stone. So now we're looking at pear stones. We're looking at oval stones. We're looking at square cushion cut stones. So learning how to create different kind of settings for those different stones, and you can make something gorgeous out of them as well. And the nice thing about claw setting is it doesn't use quite as much metal. So if you are moving into working with more precious metals, it's a more affordable way than perhaps like a collet, which is like a bezel that covers all the way around. But we also teach that. So if we move along the bottom to the corner, that is a pear-shaped collet setting. So you'll also learn how to do shaped collet settings. So that's pear. You'll also learn square. You'll have done round, you'll learn oval. So there's a project called the totem pendant where you do an oval, a pear, and a square shape setting all in one piece, and it's really beautiful. So just a lot of stone settings basically, but there are some non-stone setting projects like the filigree. So just up from there, you can see one of the little pieces from the filigree course. Filigree is the act of using like very thin twisted wire to create decoration and detail. It's a really lovely way to make jewelry, quite different. You're kind of soldering all the pieces all at once. So it's about working with the metal, understanding the temperature, and we have some incredible tutors who kind of guide us through, who are experts in all those different areas. So that's like a whistle-stop tour of the fine diploma. Then we move on to the advanced. And we didn't plan to make all of these, but people just kept getting better. And we're like, what can we do next? So we're like, more jewelry making. Why not? So on this page, you can see some beautiful rings from the advanced jewelry diploma. So at this point, you know, people are professional jewelers. They can make fine jewelry. Now we're just having fun. Now we're just learning more cool stuff because it means we can make more designs. So the advanced jewelry diploma is quite technical. Again, there's lots more stone setting. But there's also some really fun projects that are a bit out of the box and just mixing things up. So this one is about creating split shanks. So you can see a couple of split shanks there, but it's also about creating kind of cluster settings and how to support them with, you know, the ring making aspect of it. So it's not just about making the bit at the front, but we're kind of making the whole piece. Here are some pieces from the advanced diploma. So we've got like an eternity band, which is a split claw setting at the top. You'll learn how to do baguette setting. So baguette is a kind of shape of stone, which in the far bottom left corner you can see. And it's, again, it's like kind of building some of the skills, building some new skills, but adding them to skills you already have. So with this ring project, you'll do flush settings, you'll be working with mixed media, and you'll be doing a baguette setting. So it's kind of building that difficulty in. Then you can see there's some cluster claw settings as well in the blue earrings along the bottom, working with some granulation there, and it's working with back plates, which we've not really done before. So it's kind of a different skill that we're adding in. There's some Russian wedding rings. There's a halo setting. So Scott McIntyre teaches on this course, and he teaches 3 different classes. He's an incredible stone setter. So he does the halo setting, he teaches pave setting, tension setting, and channel setting. So lots and lots of settings. And then there's some more filigree with gold at the top. And like I said, this is just kind of like a snapshot of some of the projects. So there's lots more. And finally, there is a diploma in silver metal clay. So metal clay is like a clay-based substance with millions of tiny silver particles inside. And once you fire it with a torch or in a kiln, once it's dried out, the clay aspect of it burns away, the binder, and the silver particles sinter together to create fine silver jewelry, solid silver fine jewelry. So it's just a very different way of making silver jewelry because it starts off soft, it starts off as a clay. So if you are more sculptural in how you like to work, and it allows room for lots of creativity. I feel like it's a softer way of working as well. You know, people who love metal clay, it's like it's everything. So it's a little bit niche for some people, but for others it's like it's their whole thing. And me and Anna both love silver metal clay. So just a few of the projects. So on here, Anna actually teaches some of these projects. So these are some of the rings in metal clay. So you can see there's this beautiful kind of stag ring, and there's some stone set rings. They're hand carved because you can obviously carve out of the clay. So some stone setting in there as well. Lots of stone setting in all of our courses. There's a common theme. Then just a few of the projects on here, we've got lidded vessels, which is this big pink image, the largest image. So this is making vessels with a screw top. So a little bit like something you could put some perfume in, or whatever you wanted, a message, I guess, and it's making sort of boxes or bottles that have the screw top mechanism, and obviously decorating and shaping those in all different ways that you like. That's one of the master classes taught on the program. There's also metal clay lends itself really beautifully to texture and organic kind of shapes. So there's a botanical jewelry class in there where you'll learn how to work with nature and things that you might find outdoors, and how to transport those into the silver clay through mold making, painting on leaves. You can paint with the clay, it goes down into a paste. You can use a syringe. So it's a really cool way of working, and you can, if you like detail in your pieces and you like that kind of organic texture, then this is a really lovely way to work with metal. We also do the multi-stone set ring. So in the far left corner, you can see the bling ring, I sometimes like to call it. So learning how to create settings in metal clay, how to put lots together and create a really interesting look with some of the larger stones. And we talk about which stones you can fire in place, which stones you need to set after firing, and how you can how you can do those different types of settings, because they're quite different. We also have some enameling in metal clay. So down at the bottom, you can see one of Joy Funnel, who's one of the masterclass teachers, one of her pieces where they've got some beautiful enamel. In fact, there's two of them down there, the little owl guy. So there's just so much to learn on all of these programs. I definitely recommend having a proper look at the curriculum and seeing what you enjoy. But hopefully that has kind of given you a flavor of all of them. And we do recommend early booking as soon as you can. It's kind of end of May time is when the bookings will close. But obviously the sooner you get in, the sooner we can kind of get you sort of sorted out with tools and materials and assigning mentors and all those good things. And we have payment plans available to spread the cost as well. And I think Anna has put the links in the chat where you can enroll too. Yeah, and if you'd like to have like an individual call with us, you can always have a discovery call. They're not sales calls, they're just time to have a chat with one of our team and find out about whether one of these courses are right for you. So we'll put the link in the chat. In fact, it's on all of the pages, the sign up pages. So if you go onto the course page, you'll be able to find a space where you can have a call with us if you would like to. And yeah, no such thing as a silly question. We always love hearing from you guys. So feel free to get in touch, and we'd love to have you on one of the diplomas if you would like to develop those jewelry making skills with us next year or later this year. So we'll see if there's any questions. I think Anna has shared one. So Laura asks, do you have groups and times in the US as well? Yes, absolutely. We have people that work in different time zones. So there's always people, there's people from the US, there's people from like all over the world who join the diploma program. So we'll be able to find a time that suits you. It may not be that everyone in your group is from the US, because we kind of mix it up, but absolutely we'll make sure that, whatever time zone you're at, we can find a spot that kind of works for you. But we do have quite a lot of US students. And another question is, what about sending your pieces? Do we send them to the UK or their mentors in the US? Yes, you send them to the UK. They all come together with us here, and we have, kind of detailed videos and explanations of how you can do it. All of our US students have done it in the past, and kind of, use various couriers and things like that. So do not worry about posting your pieces. That is definitely something we can help you with. It sounds like a lot before you've done it, and then once you've done it, you're used to it. So yes, absolutely. We're very much set up for a global audience. So we have students all over the world sending their parcels from all over the world, and we love getting them and seeing them. But some of our mentors are in the US, but our kind of warehouse, our main headquarters are in the UK, so that's where we are available to help with that. Sean says, are all the links Oh, sorry, it just disappeared. Are all the links with info provided on this chat on your web page? Yes, absolutely. So you can find all the information you need if you go to jewellersacademy.com/diplomas. That lists all the different diplomas, and then each of them have their own page with all the information on. But like I said, if you get stuck with anything, feel free to reach out either by email. You can message us contact@jewellersacademy.com, or we're also on Instagram and Facebook and all the places. Laura says, "Oh, that's fine. We don't have to all be US just with the same time zones." Yes, yes, absolutely. No, it's nice to have a mixed audience and meet people from all over, but it's also nice to know some local people, which sometimes kind of happens as well. And we find some of the jewelers meet up at like jewelry shows and big jewelry events and stuff like that. So I always love it when we see kind of students get together, because it's just building the community, isn't it, really? But we're all very active online, so we kind of feel like we know each other, even if we've not met up yet. So brilliant. I think they're all the questions. I think Anna may have answered a few as well. But yes, thank you guys so much for being here. Anna's also put a link to where you can sign up for a discovery call if you'd like to. But yeah, if you guys have any more kind of thoughts or ideas you want to share, you know where we are. And it's been lovely to see you. So take care, and I'll see you on another session soon. Bye for now.